All right, so we were talking about this. One of our founders the other day had mentioned this. It was a great quote because she's in a great business that is probably as bad as recession-proof as possible.
Right. Yeah.
And she had a great quote, and you told me, what was it again?
Yes. Customers don't want to be our customers. They absolutely have to be our customers.
Yeah. Which shows the sign of a recession-proof, resistant business, because it's true. Like, you don't want to call that company because it's a problem with your plumbing. Snapshot into that. But I thought that was great that she said that. All right, we're buying a business, right? Like, there's always some fear around buying a business. We all know that. We work with clients. There's this fear that creeps up for various reasons. What if I fail? What if? So the one that I hear a lot, what if the economy goes down? What if there's a recession? What do I do, right? So that's what the topic of this video is going to be, is what characteristics should we be looking for in a recession-proof or resistant business? I don't think anything's exactly recession-proof, so I don't like that term. I like recession-resistant. But what are some things, like top of mind for me, needs versus wants?
Yeah, so a lot of times it's going to be a service-based business. It's something to where, hey, this is not something I can do. I've got to get somebody to my house or to my business to fix the problem, right? Yeah. And there's no way around it. A need is absolutely something that you have got to get fixed, and you've got to get fixed quickly. So any type of franchise like that, probably going to be fine in a recession-proof business. We learned a lot from the pandemic. Now going into recession, a lot of our brands that we work with, that we like to work with, are recession-resistant, but we learned a lot from the pandemic because they're service-based and they are truly needs versus a want. Hey, maybe right now my wants aren't going to be so much a priority as what I truly need right now. So we're going to budget for that, those kind of things from a customer's perspective.
Yep. So some obvious things are going to be, let's think restoration, for example. Like, if there's a pipe that breaks and it's insurance money coming in to pay for that pipe and fix the issues, that's a good example of recession proof, probably business, even though I'm not gonna use that term. But that's one that would be a good example. There's some service brands that may be slightly impacted are gonna be like the roofing and the things like that, that's insurance money. Kurt, you've got some really interesting background because you own a franchise now that is a massage franchise.
Correct.
And you told me specifically, like, they do well, which I would have thought the opposite. So this is interesting. So, explain that.
Yeah, people, typically in recessions, they're going to spend money on themselves still to an extent, but especially in a recession because of all the stress, and people will spend a little bit more money on themselves to relax and unwind and kind of forget about the world for an hour or two. So in the massage franchise, we're a little bit insulated. We might have to pare down on some team members or something like that, but for the most part, we aren't affected as much.
That was interesting. I didn't realize that. Like, that was something that I learned the other day. But I think what we've seen right now is recently we've seen like this division that's happening because, once again, we're in a time right now where it kind of feels like a recession. We've got probably half our clients are super stoked, which is weird to say they're stoked about a recession, but they've been waiting for this. They're getting aggressive. They want to buy businesses because they want control over what's going to happen. So you got those group, and you got the group over here that's kind of scared right now. I'll tell you, this group over here is going to dominate. And so you have those bigger investors over here, but you also have these W-2 employees that are a little bit nervous about what's going to happen, and they're looking for a business to buy too. So that group is pouring in as well because they want to have control, and it's super important they have control. So yeah, I mean, Anthony, what else would you think there of, like, what else should you be looking for in a recession-proof business or resistant?
Think about things that can save you money, right? Cost savings, recession, right? So what are some things that I can take advantage of that are gonna save you money? Insulation on an energy bill, right? Yep. Insulation, we've got a great insulation concept. What about things like, we spend a lot of time at home, or if we're not going out and spending money maybe out as much during a recession, maybe we still want to invest in something. Think about like a renovation type business. Instead of doing a full renovation of our house, maybe we're just doing a little bit with one of our renovation type businesses that's going to save us money overall. Maybe it's not exactly what we had in mind initially, but we can still do it, but still save some money when we're doing those.
Still getting some bang for your buck.
Still getting some bang for your buck.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah, that's interesting because this isn't really recession, but like if interest rates go up, people aren't buying selling houses,
There you go.
they're going to stay in their own house. We've seen that too. They're pouring money into their house.
Right.
So the insulations or the new gutters or the decks or whatever, lighting, that kind of stuff has really paid off recently for sure. So one thing to think about too, as you look at the brands, just high level, just let's talk about this real quick. You're evaluating maybe 2 to 3 brands side by side. Ask that question, have they been through a recession before?
Yeah.
So what are some questions maybe you can ask to like the brand themselves during validation that would help you kind of exploit that or get that to the bottom of it?
Yeah, it's definitely history, right? What's, at the worst of times, where were you guys at? And did you continue to grow? Were you stagnant? Did you maybe fall off a little bit? I mean, definitely, how did you combat it? Did you just sit on your hands and do nothing? Or did you actually proactively try to fix this? Have a plan and do some new things to try to, get through the recession for sure.
Also, really diving in, how did the industry as a whole do, during the recession, coming out of the recession? So just making sure that you're asking all those key questions on the front end.
Yep, that's great. So a couple things here. Let's run through a couple industries that we feel are really good for a recession. Then let's talk about some industries that when you come out of recession, they're gonna skyrocket. Okay. So sometimes, you're thinking about that, like, okay, I gotta suffer a couple years here, but then when this thing comes out of it, man, I'm gonna be rocking. Yeah. So out of the gate, we know we've identified a couple that do well. We actually wrote them down. So healthcare typically. We have like a drug testing sort of scenario in our portfolio that works really well. Kids, they'll maybe pull back a little bit, but for the most part, you're gonna spend money on kids, right? Pets. Yep. Who doesn't love their pet, I guess, right? So pets, massage and relaxation, we talked about that, Kurt. Home services, I think, is probably the biggest upside that we've seen, because people are not gonna buy new houses, they're gonna reinvest in their current house. Lots of stuff there. Automotive, typically does pretty well, and then food and grocery as well. Yeah. So any other ones you want to comment there on?
No, you think about it, pets, kids want to continue to play sports. They want to continue to do the activities and be involved and hang out with their friends, those kind of things, right? Your pets, you're not gonna, you still gotta groom the pets and all those kind of things. Healthcare, of course, can't go away. That one's definitely a need for us as well, right? So some a little bit more wants, but definitely the need-based businesses. For sure.
Up here, we got 2 of those already bought. You guys own both those.
Right.
So I guess I'm out here on this, but that's interesting. So let's talk about next, coming out of the recession, right? Like, what should we be paying attention to coming out of the recession that's going to come out strong?
As far as our portfolio is concerned, a brand that really stands out is Superior Fence. Even on the front end though, they do that financing, which is a key piece. So customer financing, but also it's a little bit higher ticket item. So coming out of the recession, once home building picks back up and interest rates go down a little bit more, I could see a brand like Superior Fence really skyrocketing.
Really doing well.
Yeah, I like things that, so now maybe we're going to pamper ourselves a little bit more again, right? So now we're breaking back out. Now we can get back out and spend a little bit more, and hope maybe you saved a little on the front end with some of the, the more cost savings brands. So now we can look at things that are maybe a little more want-based versus need that we can, focus on for ourselves.
Out of curiosity, we haven't talked about this, but how do you think fitness fares in a recession? Like, what do you guys think, fitness concepts? Because I don't have an answer for it, because I've got people who are like, it does well. I think it comes down to the concept, but I'd love to hear kind of your thoughts on it.
Yeah, it does come down to the concept. I actually believe that too. But people now more than ever need to invest in their health like ever before. I mean, we've seen it time and time again, right? So invest in your health now so you can, so it doesn't have to cost you later in life, right? So, and it's huge for legacy, for all the things we want to spend, as much time with our loved ones as possible, and that's where health comes into play. So I think the right concepts in health, like now more than ever, people are focused on health coming out of the pandemic as well. So I think actually fitness is overall trending up. Even in a recession.
I agree. 15 years ago, I probably would have said stay away from it, but I think now it's still, people aren't going to give it up. Like, I think it's such an integral part of people's lives now, they're not going to give it up unless there's a really bad drop off that they just can't afford to do it.
And like Anthony mentioned, especially coming out of the pandemic.
Yeah, 100%.
It's top of mind, people's health and staying healthy and fit. More than ever before, in my opinion.
So I think in summary, there's probably not a clear cut, like, this is exactly what you should and should not do, because every year it seems like it kind of changes a little bit, priorities for people. But I would say that like the easy bets are going to be the restoration companies, a lot of the B2B companies that are like, you can't not do the service, right? Like there's stuff like that out there that's really important. Maybe the ones that are going to be the worst hit are probably a few of the fitness concepts, the food concepts, some of the travel concepts could be a big hit as well. So maybe just think about those. But regardless, if there's not a recession now, there's going to be one in 10 years or whatever. So be prepared for that. But you typically don't want a recession the first couple years of a business usually. So,
Very true.
anything to add, guys?
I think knowing that, in a recession, having a proven concept and a model and systems that stand the test of time and maybe have been through a recession versus, maybe starting something from scratch where, you can have some confidence in knowing that investing in a franchise is going to help you through a recession. I think people don't realize that those advantages a lot of times. So that in and of itself is huge.
Yeah, there's a lot of value in a franchise network to be able to lean some on some of those other franchisees who maybe have been through a recession before, and maybe they really have some great tips for weathering the storm.
Yeah, that's undervalued right there. Like that is really important because we don't talk a lot about the network that happens when you buy a franchise, but going through a tough time, you can leverage that. That is huge. That's a really good nugget there. So, okay, just once again, do your research, and there's a lot of great concepts out there that thrive during a recession, and ultimately you have control over your time, your money, everything, and that's what we're all looking for.